Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, very hard difficulty, Merciful Ghost walkthrough. This is the second mission. It is entitled Follow the Ink, and this is going to be a video sequence showing you the most effective path that I found through the level that has my very unique spin on it. As I fall into the water there, like I did say, it is a unique spin, don't repeat that, it's worthless, just waste time. And the object of it is to get through the mission with the least amount of resistance using nothing but the blink ability. Everything else is available to you, and I recommend that you use it because it makes the game more interesting, more fun, and a lot more easier. But the purposes of this series is, if I can do this on very hard, and there's no difficulty achievement, so you don't even need to play on very hard, and if I can do it without killing people, knocking them out, and without being spotted, without using anything but the dissolve mechanic, you can do the same. And we're moving into the second mission now, which is slightly longer than the previous one, and this is where it becomes Dishonored to me. I have no idea why they would create such fantastic teleportation mechanic and build these great levels that reward verticality, awareness, using all these different angles, and then they would force you onto the very first mission of the game is a mission where you can't even use any of those fantastic things. To me, that would be like buying a football game and then the first level is some kind of stealth driving section. Like, why do they do that? I'll never understand it, but it's what they chose to do. I can appreciate, there are people who play this game without using any powers, and they have a lot of fun with it, but I feel like the majority of the people play this game for the sexy abilities, right? Because I know I bloody do. But here's a really strange thing that I did right now. So I need to get a key off of her back to open the door on the right. If she sees you, she doesn't immediately get alerted, but she wants you to leave. If you don't leave, she then gets alerted, and it counts as an alert, so you cannot let this happen. But if you walk past her really quickly, without bumping into her and without giving her a chance to do anything, she doesn't notice you, and she doesn't go alerted. Yet if you're crouching about and actually trying to stealth it past her, she'll get alerted. So I had this massive, ridiculous blink up, blink down, time it perfectly, grab the thing, blink away, blink back in, go through the door, do this. It was an intensive process of doing what you just saw, and it was nowhere near as effective as just running in, grabbing it, and running out. So, considering this is a stealth game, that's preposterous to me, but that's just how it works. And right now, what you should actually do is behind me there's an entranceway where you can go in and grab something off a desk. If I'd have been thinking about how I keyed my way through this level, I would have done that now and saved myself some time, but I forgot. So, if you don't know what I mean, watch the video, we're going to come back for it, but if you do, go and grab that letter so you can learn about the secret knock to getting to the house, and it'll save you having to backtrack a little bit further. But anyhow, we're going to go to the man who's preparing his speech by the trapdoor first. I do this first because I believe it's like Jacob Isamov or something like that. This is the easier of the two keys by far. So if you get the easy one done, you can focus all your attention on the tougher one, and you can get through it. So as we're waiting, I'm going to speak a little bit about the blink mechanic, because I fall off the roof like a true super sexy action spy, and then I start worrying a little bit that I'm going to start getting spotted, but it actually works to my advantage here, because it means that the guards are going to move out of position, and it's going to let me sneak across there quite quickly. So one of the great aspects of using Dissolve or Blink is that it affords you so much mobility, and especially in this game. Blink has changed. In this particular game, can you remember how in my previous walkthroughs, when you had a certain amount of magic power, and because I never used any items in those walkthroughs, I could never replenish it, so if I blinked quickly without letting it regenerate, I would be limited to one blink at the entire time, and it would make things quite difficult because you couldn't multi-blink. Well, this game changes that. You'll notice when I go down to 1, even when it fills the first one, it continues up and fills the second one, and continues up and fills the third one. I'm actually waiting for it to do that now. This is really powerful because it means you're never punished for using multiple blinks, and it affords you the luxury of being able to use it a lot more creatively. But the strange part is, Blink has changed again. In this game, you place an effigy of yourself, and wherever that fantastical effigy is where you will teleport to, but you only teleport there if you press the button a second time. And I think it's fucking horrible, because personally, Blink to me is about holding that button, and then releasing that button and teleporting. It's about being fast and precise and feeling really good to do. And I have a lot of muscle memory from playing as Corvo, and I think Dowd was even better, because Dowd froze time. So it was the ultimate power of Blink that Dowd had. So now when we come to this, and you have to press it twice to do what one button used to do, it takes away the immediacy and the fun of the mechanic to me. So I think the Blink in this game is easily the most, the greatest on a utility basis, because you can use it a lot more, thanks to the changing of the regeneration. But as a mechanic, I think it's a step backwards. It's a great idea for kind of laying a place to teleport and waiting for certain stuff to happen, and then when you combine it with that semblance ability, it is really interesting. You can do a lot of cool stuff, but I'm not using the semblance ability, so for me, all it is a shitter version of Blink. And it still gets the job done, and it's still incredibly powerful, but I have to say, folks, I didn't like it too much at all. As much as I liked the fact that they did something different and they went creative with it, to me, it is the worst Blink we've had access to. But what we're going to do here is, there's a guy looking directly down here, so we can't just walk in or he'll see us. So I'm going to walk just a little bit, warp into the corner, grab that guy's key, and then from here, we're going to have to move out of here. But do not stand where I am too long, because if he turns around, he'll see you through the crack. So I teleport across here instead of walking so I don't get seen. I teleport just there, and then we're going to just deconstruct the path that we came here on and do it in reverse. And now that we've got that key, we can go towards the second key, which is the tougher of the keys, and it's where things get really, really Dishonored-y. And I had a tough time finding the path for this next sequence, but at the same time, now that I've got that path, when I came to re-record it, everything went perfectly, everything was awesome, it was really smooth, and it's a testament to the level design. So, you might be wondering, is this game worth it? And I say definitely, because it cost me 14 quid. 14 quid for a game that's like half the length of a standard Dishonored, which is pretty good, because 30 quid is not half the price of the game, right? So even if you doubled the amount you paid for this, it's still a really, really good piece of value. It's got a lot of optional stuff that you're not going to see me even scratch the surface, and it is Dishonored with all the level design that you've come to enjoy from it. I do think that it feels, in a lot of ways, a bit of a step backwards. It feels almost like this game should have come out to hype up Dishonored 2, because I think Dishonored 2 was just a little bit more ambitious in its level design and in its scope and in a lot of things that you could do. So I think if you come directly from Dishonored 2 to this, you will be a little disappointed, because it definitely feels like a step down, but it's still solid in so many ways, and it's a great price point, so I definitely recommend it if you're on the fence. But the thing that I think deserves the most credit is just how well they design these sandboxes to play in. There are so many moments where you can use very specific abilities, use very specific strategies that's almost like what the game wants you to use, and then you can completely ignore it and have similar success by doing your own thing. One of the ways that I love to play this game, and I love to play Dishonored in general, is I love the idea of looking upwards and seeing just this playground of things to get on top of, which I know are going to lead me to a path that gets me somewhere with a lot less resistance than it would if I was running on the streets. And I love the feeling of that power. It's very similar to the Arkham games, where you're on the gargoyles as Batman, and you know you are in a position of power within reason, and it's a strong position to be. Well, that's what verticality means to me in Dishonored, and it's always designed in such a way that there's a windowsill, or there's a lamp, or there's something to get on top of, and it all works really, really well. And it's such a nice eye for everything, because even then, if you move away from what you like to do, you can look down on the ground and you'll see grates for rats to go through if you possess the rats. You know, you'll see doors that need keys, you'll see side missions that completely shift and change the way the game plays out. A great example of this is a mission coming up. By the way, do not go on top of that sign to my left, it has barbed wire. Barbed wire is the universal symbol for you cannot fuck with that ledge. So right now, we're going to be backtracking to go to that windowsill I mentioned earlier that you could have grabbed. This is where you could save some time if you're that kind of person, but I'm going to show you how to get back there from where I am, and I'm also going to wrestle with the interesting horizontal range of the blink. Sometimes it's got super range, sometimes it doesn't, and I guess we'll see. And there's going to be a lot of me standing around waiting for it to recharge. But a good example of how side missions can change a mission is on the bank job coming up, on the 3rd level. If you're having trouble doing something, try checking out the side missions just to see what they offer you. A lot of the times they'll offer you a path that you might not have been able to find before. Sometimes they offer you vastly superior strategies. Sometimes they're just, innocuous and superfluous. It doesn't really matter. But you don't know unless you try. And one of the missions for the bank is to, I believe, get some kind of sedative, which will knock out all the personnel in the bank. And when you do this, it means that no alarms go off when you move the vault. Because what's going to happen on my particular walkthrough, guys, is we're going to set off an alarm. We're going to set off an alarm twice, actually. And it doesn't affect never being detected, so you still get the achievement, and there's no achievement or trophy for not getting any alarms. So that's the reason why I've enabled it to stay in the walkthrough. But if you do that side mission, that doesn't happen. So you'll have an easier time inside of the bank, and you'll also not have those alarms on your repertoire. So it's something to think about, because it vastly changes the way you play, and it vastly changes the way that the world works. But right now, there is a cleaning lady in this room. If you daddle about in this room, she will get alerted, and it will count against you, and it will fail the achievements. So blink out of the window, and then from here, just wait for your energy to come back, and then essentially go back to where we were before we came down this direction, and then we're going to be going into the area of the final key. A couple of things to think about on this next area. The doorway that you open with the special knock is going to have a maid that opens it, and the maid will get alerted if you try to enter the room. You have to blink behind her. Additionally, you don't have too much flexibility to move around in front of the doorway, because to your left there's going to be a guard that patrols back and forth, and he sees you very quickly. He's a bit of an asshole like that. But if you sit just where the pillar is that blocks him from you when you're just outside the threshold of the house, you can then blink behind the maid, enter the doorway, and the inside of the house is instanced, so it has no repercussions on the outside, which is great. And then we can carry on to that particular part of the mission. But just as this is me waiting to get a full stack of charge on the left. And I was really tempted, guys, to actually edit those moments out, but I didn't want it to seem like I was doing something. Like, there are a lot of people who watch my videos who can't replicate what's happening in them, because for whatever reason their game won't let that happen. They might be getting bad luck. They might be terrible players. You know, we can't all be good at things, unfortunately. But whatever the reason is, they like to blame it on my videos. So you'll see countless of these people on every video on YouTube. They see something that they can't understand, or that they've tried and doesn't work the first time, so they assume that it's broken and you cheated somehow. And they'll leave some kind of denigrating comment on the video, which is always fun to read. And it stems from a fundamental insecurity, but we'll not go into the psychology of that. But then what happens, you see, is they'll pick things apart in the video, and they'll say things like, oh, you're not on the difficulty you say you are because X and Y. And when you have instances of videos jumping around with no justification, like it would do if I suddenly went from having 1 blue crystal to 3, you'll get those people trying to poke holes in those moments, saying that you're doing something nefarious. And you guys know, if you're a fan of my channel, or if you're coming to this walkthrough, with an open mind, that I have been 100% honest with everything that I'm doing here. I'm not saying to you that I never save and I do this all on one attempt, because I don't. I fuck up all the time. That's just what this game's about. It's a lot of fun, but it is trial and error. I'm telling you all the things that went wrong for me, all the areas I had problems with. I'm giving you as many tools as I can so that you can be successful, and you don't have to suffer like I did, finding the paths. Be warned, when you're on top of these buildings like this, on top of bookcases, on top of statues and doorways, in Dishonored 2 and Dishonored 1, you would never get seen. Almost never, ever get seen. One of those things, it's very rare for you to get seen if you're above their eye level. On this expansion, they see you quite a lot. I don't know why. I have no idea why it happens. I have footage of me being stood on top of a doorway like you see the one in front of me, and everybody's looked my way and never seen me. They've been at max distance, they've been at close distance, and then there's other times where they magically see me, and I don't know the justification for it. All you need to know is be very careful. You might be 1 second away from being spotted, and if you save yourself into a corner, make sure you have multiple saves just in case. But essentially, guys, the moral of what I was saying is I tried to keep these as honest as I can in the visuals, because I don't want to give people who essentially are here to create lies and slander the videos and say that it doesn't work because of this. Because the point of this is to help you. And if I'm here making all special edits and doing a load of bullshit and editing it all together as one big lie video, I'm just wasting my time. It's easier for me to actually do the shit I'm supposed to be doing, because all that editing when you're trying to fake stuff is way more work, and who wants to do that, right? But be careful, when you take the power out of that wall, it's going to alert everybody ever so slightly, so they're going to be a little bit more, you know, on the lookout than they normally would, and this is where your path might diverge from my own. So we got the key off the side, we opened the door, and we're now on top of this doorway. This is a pretty safe place, but once again, every so often the guards can see you, so be very careful. Do not save as well on top of things like this, because when the game reloads you, it drops you down. If you save on top of a door, it'll put you in a goofy place. It's really strange. But wait for an opportune moment when all the guards aren't looking your way, open this door, and then shut it, and then drop a safety save to see how the AI reacts afterwards. What we're going to do here is we're going to open that case on the right, and we're going to steal that piece of monofoam sheet. But to the left is a doorway that's got glass in it, so if any guard looks this way, they're going to see us. We see him going past, we open the case, we grab it, we get the checkpoint because there's a save point there, and now we have to get outside. Once again, guys, depending on where the enemies are on your game will depend on how aggressive you can be here. I know he's just walked down that corridor, so I blink to this point, and all I need to do is get back through that doorway. I see a guard going in the left-hand side, I risk it, I shut the door, and we're done. There's what we need to open the safe. We can now progress back up the dumb waiter, and we can get into arguably the hardest part of this mission, which is getting in this room. So the two people in this room have been designed by evil geniuses. They do not move in any kind of pattern that gives you an easy time to get into the safe. Nobody leaves the room by their own volition. Nobody goes, oh, I'm just going to go to the bathroom and piss off for 20 minutes. There's always that guy looking forward and her patrolling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the door beneath me to get the girl's attention. That's going to put her on a trajectory. God knows where she'll end up. We'll just hope it's in our favour. And then I'm going to throw the bottle to distract the other guy because he doesn't like to move. I've just 100% made a liar of myself because I'm not doing either of those things. I've thrown the bottle though. Oh, there we go. Now I'm going to open the door. So now that the door's open, they're going to be like, who opened this door? And they'll look around there. She goes in that room for some strange reason, and he gives me his back. So I'm going to hit this machine. When you hit this machine, you're going to get a save point. From here is very risky because you don't know how the people are going to react. So I immediately turn to my left, and I'm going to blink outside and get back up onto that doorway. I do it without being spotted because I got lucky. If you don't get lucky, guys, try a few different things. If not, try something different. All you need to do is distract these people and look for gaps. And you might notice, Chris, why are you stood off the centre of this doorway? Because the lady who comes back into the room kept seeing me. Did you notice how she walked around the room before and never saw me and I was stood on the grate dangling my balls? Well, for whatever reason now, she can see me. But I can't tell you why. It's just one of those things where every so often the game is kind of... It feels like bullshit, but I don't want to call it that because it might have a good reason. But it never feels like it, you know? But anyhow, we've got the guy moving around beneath me, we've got her moving around there, and I have the teleport ready to go in front of the safe. She turns away, I grab the key. Whoever designed all this shit next to the keys when we're trying to pick them up quickly deserves to be fired, because the amount of times I've picked up a fucking letter that I've had to read, and I've got stuck in it and started panicking, and it's fucked up, and all I want to do is grab a key, and I can't grab a key, is way too many times. But we got the key, we got back onto that perch, we got back to the dumb waiter, and we're done. And it looks so easy, doesn't it, folks? Oh, by the way, when you go down to the bottom floor, which is what I'm doing right now, stand to the right of this elevator. There is one waiter who will see you if you don't. Do you see him? He's going to stand around a little bit, and then he's going to turn around. The moment he turns around, we're going through that left door, and we're blinking forward, and we're getting out of this house. If you do this quick enough, this pattern will be golden. But be warned, there's one guard who's patrolling, and if he sees you, you're going to have to respawn. But there you go, guys. As I was saying, looks easy, doesn't it? It really is, fundamentally, but getting there takes a long time. Getting that path that you just saw took me like an hour and 30 minutes on my first run. So many mistakes, so many problems, so many moments where I didn't know what I needed to do and I didn't know how I was supposed to do it. And then you bring it all together on that second run and it looks beautiful, it looks orchestrated, and it looks easy. But if you're having any kind of trouble, don't be disheartened. None of this is easy. All of this takes time, all of this takes experience, and you'll get there. And it's a lot of fun too. And if you've played the other Dishonored, you're going to have an advantage. Because if you come to this video and you watch this and you're like, dude, how did you do this? I can't do this. You can. The only difference between me and you might be, I played Dishonored 1, I played Dishonored 2, I played the Dishonored DLCs. I've played this game a lot. You know, I know the systems, I know what to look for, I know generally the best ways of approaching things, or the ways that work best for me, and maybe you don't have that experience, but with the help of my videos, we can cheat a little, and you can use my experience to help you get through. So all that's left to do now is move across these lanterns, across these lampposts, and then we're going to get back to the vehicle. And I love how it's giving me all these tutorials and shit of moves I'm never going to use. It's like, alright game, can I play please? And there's 2 guards, I think. Is it this level where the guards are patrolling the exit? I can't remember. I can't see them. No, that might be the next mission. I'll be careful too. You will take fall damage if you drop from too high of a height. But it's one of those things where if you do your blink interestingly enough, you can oftentimes mitigate it or avoid it completely. But there it is. We got both the ticks, Merciful and Ghostly, and that's Follow the Ink. Thank you very much for watching, and you take care now.